minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. "30 seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Friday, the week you've been looking forward to, the day you've been looking forward to within the week, because it is a Friday. It's been a stressful, wild, crazy week. I'm starting to get gray hair. I am 32 years old, and I'm starting to get gray hair after this election. Good golly. But yet it's not over. And it sounds like the Trump administration is still excited as ever to be able to pull this through as the litigation begins. We knew this. I mean, Trump called it. Everybody called it. It was going to be a year of litigation. 6 months ago, we knew that it was going to happen with the voter fraud. AG Bill Barr had come out with a conversation that he did on CNN and said that whenever you do elections by mail, especially with the massive amount of elections that you're going to do by mail this election, that there was going to be wrought with corruption, wrought with fraud. And now we're seeing it. And what can we do about it? What's going to happen by the end of this? They're thinking that they're going to call certain states to Joe Biden by the end of today. According to the headlines that we're seeing right now, Joe Biden should be doing a press conference around 8 p.m. tonight, where some of the stations may be airing this show. So we'll talk about some of that, what's going to potentially happen. Hey, welcome to the broadcast. Great to have you along for the ride today. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, however you may be watching or listening. We appreciate you hanging out with us today very, very much. We do have the live streamings uploaded onto Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler.com and on Minds.com, all at the handle of @HooserReason. Again, @HooserReason. You can find it, no I in Hooser, HOOSER, Reason. Also online at HooserReason.com. If you have not signed up for the newsletter, make sure to do that. Newsletter coming out this weekend. All right, that's all that stuff. Let's get into the bread and butter for the day. We have a lot to get to as we have states potentially being called. We have AG Barr openly saying that when you have mail-in ballots that you have fraud. How much fraud has been in the nation prior to this election? What does this tell us in this nation as we try to clean it up? We live in the state of Kansas here, at least I do. where we have voter ID laws. Our former Secretary of State Chris Kobach that tried to run for the Senate seat, that tried to run for governor, unfortunately failed on both of those occasions. He is part of the private Build the Wall funding down at the border. He's one that put in some very stringent voter ID laws, and I love them here in Kansas. Love them because it really minimizes those voter fraud opportunities. Many other states don't have that. When you have Wisconsin that has same-day voter registration, and then at 4 a.m. you all of a sudden have, well, look at that, 138,000 ballots going to Joe Biden and 0 for Donald Trump. Something seems a little weird there. And maybe you should think, maybe we shouldn't do same-day voter registration because that just opens up a door for really crazy things. I want to talk about all this and more with our next guest. I'm excited to have him on here as one of his latest pieces out of the National Review, Blue Today, Bluer Tomorrow. What does that mean? Are we still trending that way, even with the makeup of the election results that we're seeing right now? Excited to have on the program Joel Kotkin with us here. Joel, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
I appreciate you coming on the show, yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. That is very true. This election, do you think Donald Trump can pull this off with the litigation and trying to claim fraudulent votes? I mean, we're seeing the fraudulent votes. I agree that there's some going on. Is it enough in the courts to look at them and to sway them and for him to get some of these reversed, or is it almost done deal now?
I think given the degree, the many states where he's now losing, when you're losing by over 10, 20,000 votes, very rarely would it get turned around. I think what will happen is it'll be typical of Trump. I'm not a huge Trump fan. He's going to go down kicking and screaming. He's not going to go down the way Al Gore did in 2000. And he's, but I can't. I've been talking to lawyers. They say the problem is, it's probably impossible for him to turn it around. And frankly, I think in a funny way, long term, and I'm not a Republican or a conservative, but
sure.
I think conservatives may do better taking some of the positives of Trump but with a different messenger. I think what this election showed me is the country is still a center-right country. The Republicans picked up, did pretty well in the Senate. They picked up, even though they were incredibly outspent, they picked up Congress people, maybe even 3 or 4 here in California where I live. So, there's definitely a trend. The rioters and the defund police and the Gentry, endorsement of Black Lives Matter, I think really backfired and almost cost the Democrats an election that they should have won. When you have a very, very an economy that's hurting, and you have, a pandemic, which I think was the exact worst thing that could happen to a Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because you really want an empathetic person who knows how sometimes it's better to say nothing than have to say something, particularly when you don't know what you're talking about. And Trump did not handle the pandemic well. So it's amazing to me that it was as close as it was. Now, part of it is that, and many Democrats don't want to admit this, Biden was kind of, a very, very weak candidate, never made a case for himself. And as somebody who lives in California, I always knew that Kamala Harris was an incredibly unattractive candidate.
Sure.
She's not even popular here.
Well, no, she had a total approval rating when she ran for president of 2-3% approval within the Democrats in her primary, which really has shocked me when they chose her as the running mate in that party, which I didn't get. So when we have Joe Biden, at least now coming from our side, we saw Joe Biden as the one that just has the gaffes every day, doesn't remember what color shirt he's wearing. Then you have someone that has a 3% approval rating with Kamala Harris. It was really a clash of, I think, two parties, I really think, being so divided and so living in their own echo chambers per se, that Republicans thought Donald Trump, I predicted 320 electoral college vote victory for Trump. I thought he was going to walk away with it very easily. I had heard Democrats saying the exact same thing for Joe Biden, just because there was so much anger and hatred and pure detest for Donald Trump that they were saying the same for a Joe Biden victory. And when it came head on here, we saw something that was closer than I think anybody imagined.
Well, actually, I did think it was going to be close because I have to, because I'm writing for so many people, I had to sort of figure out what would work, and I thought it would be close. But I think that there are some very positive signs for the conservatives in this, and that is the most important thing is the movement of the Latino vote in much of the country.
Mm-hmm.
That's more important than anything that happened, in my opinion. And the transformation of the Republican Party into a multiracial, working class, middle class party. That's the only way to go. If if you took away Trump's sort of nativist sounding, he would have done even better with Hispanics. And as it was in Texas, he won about 40% of the Hispanic vote in Texas. If the Republicans win 40% of the Hispanic vote, they will dominate the politics for the next decade.
Do you think Republicans are going to maintain it whether Donald Trump stays with the party? Let's just say that he doesn't win the election, Joe Biden gets it. I mean, I've heard rumor that he'd gear up for a 2024 election again. But whether the Trumps themselves stay in politics or they go to the wayside, do you think the party has shifted that way to where more minorities, the black vote that went, I believe, 12% for Donald Trump nationwide, the Hispanic vote that went a lot more so than usual towards the Republicans, is the party going to stay that way, or was it because of the Donald Trump movement that really brought them that way?
Well, I think there are forces that are leading, particularly Latinos, because I live in a very Latino state and have many Latino neighbors. I can say several things that attract. One, his focus on jobs and the economy. After all, who has been hurt by the lockdowns? It's not me. I'm a scribbler. I worked at home before. I mean, the worst thing that happens to me is occasionally electricity goes out here in California. But if you were working at Disneyland, 28,000 people lost their jobs. Yeah. If you're working in the energy industry or manufacturing, where many Latinos and African Americans and working class whites work, and you look at Joe Biden, you say, these guys are going to wipe out my jobs. My sense of it is what will happen is that Biden will. And Biden is sort of like, I don't know if you're much too young to remember this, but there after Brezhnev died, there were a succession of very old leaders of the Soviet Communist Party, and in many ways, Biden is like Chernenko. He was a man in his 80s. He was very, there was no way he was going to live very long. I mean, Biden, I think, is probably physically fairly, decent. He looks like he's okay, but he's not doing very well mentally. I mean, he's very, very hard to follow, and how is he going to operate as a president where he's just going to have to be scripted for everything because he's not going to be able to answer regular questions. He avoided the campaign trail. He was a disaster when he was doing it earlier. So I think that this is an era of great sort of opportunity for the conservatives because most of the positions now being taken by Democrats are not popular.
Sure.
Reparations, open borders, positions of defunding the police, Green New Deal. It might sell in Manhattan. It might sell in Malibu. Definitely sell in San Francisco. Doesn't sell in most of the country.
Well, and that's what I wanted to ask. I mean, if they are going to, let's say that they end up getting the presidency, they try and advocate some of these agenda items, if whether Joe Biden's doing it or whether he steps aside, Kamala Harris ends up taking over and they try to do the reparations, they do the Green New Deal, they do some of these radical positions. Long term, is that going to hurt the party because conservatives have an opportunity to bring in some more of the moderates? Or do you think that people are going to start getting warmed up to those ideas and it's going to become kind of a quote unquote new norm per se?
Well, I think there are two things. One, I think what we've seen in these primaries and now particularly in the general election is suburban voters might not like Donald Trump, but they don't like the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, which, by the way, as I've written about extensively, many of them want to get rid of single-family zoning. So if you bought a house in Riverside, California, they would like somebody to be able to build a 6-story building next to you. Well, you bought a single-family house for a reason. You didn't buy it. It has nothing to do with race because actually most of the people buying these homes are minorities in places like California. So I think that there's an enormous opportunity. The key thing for the Republican Party, and I think they've really started to do it, is they've been able to start to communicate with non-whites. If we look here, even here in California, the affirmative action proposition got killed by the Asian community, which hated it.
Yeah.
Because what they were saying is, hey, our kids really work hard and study and get good grades, and that they're not going to get into the University of California because they're the wrong color. You know,
Yeah.
And in the state of California, we've had much worse discrimination against Asians than we have against African Americans. You know, state of California wants to do reparations. We were admitted as a free state.
Right.
So there never was slavery in California, at least since we've been a state.
Yeah.
So I think that the question is, how do you communicate to millennials, to minorities, to immigrants, to African Americans? And if the Republicans figure that out, as they have to a large extent, like Governor Abbott in Texas, the future is very bright, because the Democratic base is too urban and too far to the left for the rest of the country.
There it is. Joel Kotkin, it is the National Review, also author of the book The Coming of Neo-Feudalism and director of the Urban Reform Institute. It's good to have you on the show, my friend. I love the conversation. Let's do it again here real soon. What do you say?
I'm fine. You know, be happy to do it.
Hey, very good. I appreciate it very much. We got a lot to get to here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Friday. It's not a pre-Friday. It is a Friday celebration right here on the show. The greatest day of the week. It's a free-for-all Friday, which means you can leave me a comment on anything you want to talk about on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler.com and on Minds.com. You can also email me. You can always email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. So we have coming up in the next segment, I have not done this in a while, and I apologize for it, and I've been getting asked for it, but it's official. In the next segment, you're not going to want to miss it. We have our brand new Voice of Reason product line, our new Voice of Reason infomercial that will air for you. And yet, it is time related too, so you'll enjoy that too. It is related to election stuff. As you know, for those new listeners, we do our satire commercials, infomercials. You know, the get it right now. Hi, I'm Billy Mays here. Remember those kind of commercials, right? Well, we do those, but we do them for political products in order for you to better get through your life. And we have our Voice of Reason product line. And if you want to hear it early, you can go. It is on the website at HooserReason.com under the tabs for special features. And all of our different infomercials are there. You can listen to it and you can see it. And we're going to air it here on the program in the next segment. So stay tuned in for that. And one of these days here soon, very soon, while we're working on the Hooser Media Network behind the scenes, we're going to be starting to actually make some of these products as actual gag gifts for you to purchase online and give to your friends. I'd like to get some of them out before the holiday season. Don't know if it's going to happen yet or not, but we'll gear up at least for 2021 as we do a big launch on some of these. So, as I mentioned, there's some really cool stuff in the works for the Hooser Media Network, and we have some really cool stuff coming up here very soon. So stay tuned in for that. But all together, you can just go on to HooserReason.com and listen to it. We'll also air it coming up here in the next segment. So Joe Biden's going to be speaking at 8 p.m. tonight and pretty much claiming victory. The media is going to be claiming Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona and Nevada, all for Joe Biden. And according to the Washington Examiner, they're saying that Joe Biden's on the path to win the 306 electoral college votes, just as what Donald Trump won in his quote-unquote, according to the media, the quote-unquote landslide back in 2016. That Biden's going to win 360 electoral college votes. I'm still up in the air on all this. Here's the thing. With all the weirdness that's gone on with this election, and I'm not big on conspiracies. I'll listen to them. I consider them. I ponder them. I think they're very entertaining. I don't necessarily always agree with them or believe them, but I'll listen to them. And I'll humor them. This one sounds very strange. Donald Trump was up big time. And for someone like, and we'd mentioned it yesterday, for someone that has a speech impediment, has dementia, does not do very well. We just talked to a Democrat on the show in the last segment with Joel Kotkin with the National Review, not a Republican, not a Trump fan. And he said, yeah, you know what, this is a little weird. And Joe Biden, obviously not the strongest candidate. If Joe Biden's not the strongest candidate, then why did he break the record for the most amount of presidential votes in U.S. history? Does that make any sense to anybody? Unless it's so just adamant people despise Donald Trump so terribly much. But we also had the most amount of support for Donald Trump as well. They cannot say that it's just this tiny little group of radicals on the fringe of the party, and that's all that voted for Donald Trump. No, he won in 2016, and he had a massive turnout for voters as well. Now we're looking into the litigation, and Donald Trump's filing litigation in Pennsylvania. He's filed it in Georgia, and he doesn't think that he even needs to in Arizona. He thinks he's going to win Arizona outright. There was a press release that was released just about a couple hours ago, and I can read part of it on the show, but he thinks they're still going to win. But the media portraying him as very angry, very bitter. He's not doing it. He's losing. He's getting mad. He's getting testy. He's not going to win. When we're looking back and hearing the internals from the Republican National Committee and from the RNC and from the Trump campaign themselves, they're saying, wait a second, no, there's a path here. What we need to do is we need to challenge what's going on because things are just a little bit fishy. So, with that being said, when we come back after the break, then we'll use that fishiness to play and promote our next Voice of Reason product. Our next Voice of Reason infomercial. Why? Because, you know what, it's a Friday. We need to have a little fun, and it's been very stressful. Again, I'm starting to get more white hair than just the streak in the front of my head. And it's not because of anything else other than just this election. So we need to have a little fun on a Friday. Let's lighten up the mood a little bit, have some fun, talk about what's going on the latest in the election right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, you are. Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on whatever today is, a Friday, the greatest day of the entire week. It's a very strange week, and we need a little break, right? Just need a little breath. We need to take some time. Just relax a little bit. So we're not going to know the presidency for a while. Obviously, it's going to go into litigation. It's going to go to the courts. And the good news is that we see the courts in Pennsylvania slowly begin to actually accept the litigation that Donald Trump has signed, because we realize that some of it just ain't the way it's supposed to be. Just ain't looking right. Things are looking a little weird, a little fishy. So we're seeing the litigation there trying to counter some of it. Here's the weird thing. They have extended it for some reason. They're like, oh, mail-in ballots, they can be accepted up until Friday at 5 p.m. Not like ones that are post-dated on Tuesday, but ones that actually could be post-dated on Wednesday or Thursday and received on Friday, they're accepting, which is not okay. That's against the Constitution. You're not allowed to do that, because they're saying, oh, look, we need this many since Tuesday. We're just going to open it up. And the Secretary of State for Pennsylvania is really just like, yep, we're going to fight all the lawsuits and continue to count ballots until we're not allowed to anymore. Really? Seems a little weird. So now, according to, and again, this is about 4:30 on Central Time on Friday when we're recording this one, or when we're broadcasting this one, but Biden is in the lead in Pennsylvania by 14,000 votes. He is in the lead now by 4,000 votes in Georgia. Now, recounts are obviously going to happen. Recounts are happening right now, but they're trying to get, if they are able to remove some of these, he'll win Donald Trump will win Pennsylvania. I still think he's going to win Georgia. He's still going to win North Carolina. He's still going to win Alaska, and it comes down to Nevada and Arizona. Now, the press release that was released by President Trump earlier today, a few hours ago, said that they are going to overtake Arizona without even needing to question the legality of it. They're already going to take it. So that's what they're thinking. That's the positive side of the Trump campaign. But it's just weird how all this has come to fruition. And we talked about it yesterday. How can you have the most amount of votes ever for a presidential candidate for Joe Biden, who, number one, is very weak, number two, forgets what color his T-shirt is, kind of thing. We have a very weak presidential or VP candidate with Kamala Harris. Then we have the governorships going red. We see the state legislatures all over the nation going red. We still have a Republican majority in the Senate, although they say that's going to be a toss-up with Georgia as well, with runoff elections in January. Again, I don't see that. Everything looks strange to me. Now, if they take the Democrats in the Senate, in the House, and the presidency, then all we have is the Supreme Court, and it's going to be a very tough couple of years. But I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. So again, we'll see where it all plays out. I know that everybody's been analyzing this to the nth degree, and you're probably just like all glossy and tired of it. I will say, though, that when it affects the children, let me explain. So this morning, was it this morning or yesterday morning? It was yesterday morning. And obviously, a couple days from Election Day, we get up in the morning. I'm getting ready for work, getting ready to head to the radio station. And our little voice of reason comes down. She's getting ready. She wakes up about the same time I do, because she's got to get ready for school, the virtual school for 6-year-old. Makes all the sense in the world, right? She comes downstairs and comes into the bedroom, and she goes, Dada. And I go, yeah, what's up? She goes, Donald Trump? I'm like, what do you mean Donald Trump? She's like, Donald Trump? Like, hello, Dad. Did he win? Like, she knows what's going on. I mean, she came out to the election party on Tuesday night that I got to MC for the county Republicans here in the area, our 4th district, which was really cool. But she knows that, number one, on election time, Daddy pays attention to election season. She knows who Donald Trump is. She knows what's going on. Maybe not all the details, but she's aware. These kids are observant. And she didn't know what exactly was happening, but she just comes in, Dad, Donald Trump? Hello, Donald Trump? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, Donald Trump, Dad. I said, oh, the election. It's not over yet, but Donald Trump's going to win. And she goes, good, okay. Now remember, this is the kid that when she was 1.5, 2, and we were trying to do the potty training, she's sitting on the potty, and we're like, what will you do to go potty? This is ridiculous. You need to go potty on the potty chair. And I said, if you go potty in the potty chair, what can we do for you? What do you want? She goes, I want a high five from Donald Trump. I'm like, all right. Not sure how I'm going to make that one happen, but we're going to work on that one. She's also the one that about 2 years old, when she's starting to talk and she's kind of babbling, and you kind of like, you're like, all right, dear. All right, sweetheart. Yeah, that sounds great. And you have no idea what she's talking about, but she's just going and going and da-da-da-da. Well, she was in the back of my car one day. And I think I've told this story before. She was in the back of my car. We were driving home, and she's just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, all right, yeah, sounds great. Really? I had no idea. That's crazy. That's wild. And we're talking, and I could have swore that she said the word Obama in the back, and she's just rattling, just going nonstop. And she just goes, Obama. And I looked back and I said, did you just say Obama? And she looked at me, and I'll never forget this. I looked at her in the rearview mirror, and she looked at me, and she rolled her eyes. At 2 years old, she rolled her eyes at me, and she goes, no, Dad, he's a bad man. I mean, winning? You can't really beat that. So now she comes down 2 days later, or 2 days ago, in the morning, a couple days after the election. She goes, Dad, Donald Trump? I said, no, not yet, but he will. He will. She's like, okay, all right. I'll hold you to it, Dad. So now we got to make this happen. We need to make this happen, and we can't let this slip, because then I'd have to go back to the little one and be like, look, Donald Trump didn't win. And I don't know what that would do. That might devastate her a little bit. Just a little bit. So, as you know, we come up with our Voice of Reason products. We have our Voice of Reason product line, and we have our Voice of Reason infomercials. And especially with how this week has been, with how crazy it's been, with the blatant evidence of fraud that's been going on nonstop along this nation, when it comes to the weirdness that happened in Wisconsin and Michigan, with the just delaying and allowing more people to continue to vote throughout the days after Election Day in Pennsylvania, some weirdness going on in Georgia, something's fishy. And I'm not one to put on the conspiratorial tinfoil hat and say that it's all fraud, but I'm here to say that this election is all fraud. I very rarely say that, but this election is all fraud. And Donald Trump will have won and would have won this election if it wasn't all the fraud. Now, I still think he has a good chance, but I think that it's a lot closer than it needs to be unnecessarily because of the fraud. So, I was trying to wonder why there was so much fraud going on and people are just looking the other way. That the media is literally reporting Donald Trump claims fraud, but there's no evidence of it. And then I realized they're already using our product and we never even created it yet. So we had to create the product so that way they can use it, so that way it justifies it in their eyes. We have created our very own product line. Again, for those that are new to the show, that's a satire. It's a joke. Come on, man. We have created our very own election fraud prevention program. Now, you've heard of different programs for addiction programs. You've heard gambling programs. You've heard many different types of programs for the government. But now we've created our very own election fraud prevention programs where when you put these things on and you use the program, then what looks like fraud looks like totally clear winners to you without any type of fraud or shenanigans going on. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, our latest and greatest Voice of Reason product line, our Voice of Reason infomercial for the election fraud prevention program.
You've heard of DUIs and domestic abuse prevention programs. I'm sure you've also seen the addiction prevention programs. But now we're proud to introduce the all-new election fraud prevention program.
I keep hearing people talk about voter fraud, and I just don't buy it. I mean, where's the evidence? Just because we haven't researched it and investigated it doesn't mean that it's actually happening. We just need to take the mainstream media at its word.
and it's simple to use. It makes election results look so much better.
I am so glad that my candidate ended up winning this election. I mean, I couldn't imagine what would happen if that tyrant on the other end ended up winning. And now they're talking about dead people voting, or blank mail-in ballots, or even ballots coming in late. I mean, a month of early voting is just not enough for me. I should be able to vote when I want to vote. And just because the government tells me it's invalid doesn't make it so. Our duty as the voters to do whatever necessary to make sure that a tyrant fascist Nazi doesn't stay in office.
Just slip on the election fraud prevention goggles, and all those illegitimate ballots suddenly look normal.
I was beginning to worry that they would catch on to our voter fraud. And just because I was sitting there as a poll worker filling out ballots trying to catch our candidate up, they said that it was illegal. But I threw on my election fraud prevention goggles, and I don't know what they're talking about. Every one of these ballots seems completely legitimate and factual to me. I think he's just refusing to leave office, that fascist.
No matter the type of voter fraud, from dead people's ballots to blank mail-in ballots being counted for your favorite candidate, once you slip on your election fraud prevention goggles, those fraudulent worries go out the window, and you see nothing but a clear, concise winner.
Thank you, election fraud prevention goggles. Now, no matter what the other side of the aisle says, I can see a clear winner, and there's not a doubt in my mind that it's not a rigged, completely corrupt system.
But wait, there's more. If goggles aren't your style, try the election fraud prevention lens. They work much like contacts, and you get the same great lack of quality effect.
Now I can wear my election fraud prevention lenses and no one even knows that I'm wearing them. I can look totally normal. I can justify the election results. And anyone questioning the legitimacy of these ballots coming out of the trunk of my car, I can just call them a crazy, wild conspiracy theorist.
And they come in all sorts of sizes and styles. Make sure to try out our Biden's Too Big to Fail Blue, or of course our favorite, Trump Never Really Had Big Rallies Red. It's all part of our great new election fraud prevention program, helping you feel better about election results since 2020.
There it is. Plenty of different options. Of course, the Back the Blue and Back the Biden Blue, and in the Trump Never Really Had Big Rallies Red, all flavors of the different election fraud prevention program. You just put on those election fraud prevention goggles, and voila, all those fraudulent ballots look totally legit, and that's what the Democrats are wearing. So, what do you think? Yay or nay? I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts. The latest and greatest Voice of Reason infomercial right here on the show as we continue to try and come out with new products for you each and all the time. We try to do it, I don't know, maybe once a month or a couple times in the month, but we haven't done one in a while, so we figured now was the time to do so, and with how evident it is, they have to be wearing our election fraud prevention goggles. So you can go online, go to HooserReason.com. You can listen to it on our special features tab right there. You can listen to it again. Well, you may air it on the show here in another day or so as well, because it's not going to go away for a while, is it? But let me know your thoughts all over social media. If you may be listening to the stream, you can also email us, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, and let me know your thoughts, yay or nay, on the new line of infomercials, the new line of products right here on the show. One segment left. We'll get your thoughts and wrap up the day and the week. It's been a wild week. I'm sure you're tired and fatigued about everything going on. We'll recap the rest of it and get you going into the weekend the proper way right here on the show. It's The Voice of Reason. It's a Friday. I'm Andy Hooser. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, Catch our special features and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, we're getting some good response from it. Getting some good response all over social media. We have some private messages on Facebook. We have the Podbean. We have some YouTube, some Twitch comments. One on Parler. All right, we're doing all right. People liking the new infomercial. Let me know your thoughts. You can always email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts, yay or nay, on the new infomercial, our election fraud prevention program right here on the show. Just making all those invalid ballots look totally valid, look totally legit. Why not? Just put on the goggles and you'll never see another thing wrong again whenever it comes to your election. It's a wild time, man. Wild time. To wrap up the show, so I'm not sure why, but the Drudge Report, which they have not been the biggest friends of Donald Trump as of lately. They were all about Donald Trump in 2016, and then about 2 years ago, they just went boom and just done. I don't get it, but there was a headline on that kind of grabbed my attention, and they're using it against Donald Trump in this. I think that if you kind of changed the phrasing a little bit, or you changed the mentality of it a little bit. I want you to get your thoughts on who they're trying to make this refer to, or who it refers to you in your mind. It's an excerpt out of his book, Donald Trump's book, The Art of the Deal. And here's what it says that they posted on there. You can't con people, at least not for long. You can create excitement. You can do wonderful promotion and get all kinds of press. You can throw in a little hyperbole. But if you don't deliver the goods, people will eventually catch on. He went on in the book to say, I think of Jimmy Carter. After he lost the election to Ronald Reagan, Carter came to see me in my office. He told me he was seeking contributions to the Jimmy Carter Library. I asked him how much he had in mind, and he said, Donald, I'd be very appreciative if you could contribute $5 million. I was dumbfounded. I didn't even answer him. But that experience also taught me something. Until then, I'd never understood how Jimmy Carter became president. The answer is that as poorly qualified as he was for the job, Jimmy Carter had the nerve, the guts, and the you-know-what to ask for something extraordinary. That ability above all helped him get elected president. But then, of course, the American people caught on pretty quickly that Carter couldn't do the job, and he lost in a landslide when he ran for re-election. That's the excerpt that the Drudge Report has on their page about Donald Trump, and it says the Art of the Deal excerpt. People will eventually catch on. And they're using it against Donald Trump, obviously, in this scenario, saying, oh, look, they caught on. He talked big. He tried to do a whole bunch of things. He put in some hyperbole. He got the press. He got the attention. And look at where it got him. Now he's losing re-election because of this, and Joe Biden's going to win. One of the most unfavorable Democrat candidates, I think, of all time, that's going to dramatically hurt the party in the long run for the Democrats. But they're putting that excerpt up against Donald Trump as a, aha, we got you. But I don't understand how it's relevant to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, yeah, he was a little bit hyperbolic. Yeah, he used the press quite a bit. Yeah, he created promotion a little bit, and he created the energy. But why do you think he created that energy? I mean, on our side, we realize it's because he did something. Can you name one thing? And this was brought up to my attention today, and I was like, I don't know, things might be slipping a little bit on the election. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And someone said, you know what? No, it's all under control. They're investigating these things, the fraudulent votes, at least enough of them will get cast out enough for Donald Trump to win. And I said, how can that make you so sure? Because I'm a positive guy. I've been positive this entire time, and I still think he can win, but it's getting tougher and tougher as we go along here. So I'm like, I don't know. Let's reevaluate this. Let's look at our strategy, our secondary strategy here down the road to figure out what we have to do if we don't end up winning. And he goes, no, Andy, you don't understand. Name one thing in the last 3.5 years under the Donald Trump administration where he hasn't won. And I sat back and I thought about it. I was like, well, he hasn't won fully on some certain things, but he didn't necessarily lose either. When we shut down the government for the DACA and for the building the wall, guess what happened? We still got part of the wall built. Not all of it, but he's gotten part of the wall built. And when he first got elected into office, if you remember, illegal immigration went down dramatically by like 80%. It was ridiculous how low that dropped. So, you know what? He kind of won on that one. We got a Trump tax cut in there. We wanted a second one, but he got a Trump tax cut. We got part of Obamacare repealed. Not all of it, but he got part of it repealed with the individual mandates. Everything that he wanted to do, growing the economy, doing trade, doing tariffs, everything that he wanted to do, he got. And this individual said, Andy, he's been planning on this. He knew the mail-in ballots we knew from the beginning would be fraudulent. You don't think they put a system in place to try and catch some of the fraudulent shenanigans that was going to go on? We have to wait till the counting is done before we can release it. And I'm like, all right, I hope it's true. I hope that we have a system in place to where we can catch some of this, because it looks very shady, which is why so many people are wearing our new Voice of Reason election fraud prevention goggles, because you know what? It is fraudulent. But don't hold back, because he's very smart. He's always outsmarted the media. He's always outsmarted the left side of the aisle. And we need to remember that, and we need to have faith as we go into this. Until then, it's your show. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. It's the Voice of Reason. Back at it on Monday. We have a great laundry list of guests next week. You're not going to want to miss it. Podcast's going up in a little bit. Until then, everybody have a great weekend. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.